Up first, gasoline prices are predicted to be reduced by next week.
Ukrainian President Zelensky pleads to the US Congress to close the sky over Ukraine.
Over 1,700 schools in Luzon are considering on starting limited face-to-face classes.
And lastly, a South Korean fugitive in Taguig has been caught by the Bureau of Immigration.
One quest, one principle, one truth.
Good evening, this is Nicole C.
And this is Lancelota.
Welcome to the Daily Herald, bringing you the eye and the latest and most credible news for this Monday, the 19th of March, 2022.
The truth is our priority, and we give justice to your curiosity without any bias.
First off, on Wednesday, the Department of Energy's Oil Industry Management Bureau has shared that because of some events that occurred across the globe, the crude oil price has dropped, especially the surge of COVID-19 in China and other countries, and Ukraine dropping its plan of joining the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Secretary Alfonso Cusi has stated with President Rodrigo Duterte that gasoline has a chance to decrease by 5 pesos, while diesel with 12 pesos. A variety of gasoline like Caltex, Petron, etc. has recently increased by 13.15 pesos and 7.10 pesos per liter. Caltex and Petron has also raised kerosene prices by 10.50 pesos per liter this week.
In speech to the U.S. Congress on Wednesday, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky urged American lawmakers to do more to shield his country from Russian invasion, imploring President Joe Biden to be world's leader of peace. With mind full of truth, now stating Bea Aspacio.
Zelensky showed a video of graphic images of death and damages in Ukraine in his virtual address after saying that Russia had transformed the Ukrainian sky as a source of thousands of deaths of people. Then the video finished with "Close the sky over Ukraine." Zelensky prodded for the implementation of no-fly zone over Ukraine and requested more planes and defensive equipment in response to a Russian invasion that began last month that has wreaked havoc in his country and displaced thousands of individuals from their homes. He also demanded that Russia be subjected to more economic penalties. Through an interpreter, Zelensky informed the U.S. Congress that Ukraine is experiencing terror that Europe hasn't seen since World War II and that the country's fate is being decided. Is it too much to ask for a no-fly zone over Ukraine to save lives? Is this going to be too much? Zelensky asked in words delivered from Kyiv, his country's capital, which is under constant attack but doesn't give up, he said. I wish you to be the leader of the world. Being the leader of the world means to be the leader of peace, Zelensky said at the end of his speech directly addressing Biden in English. Biden and many U.S. legislators along with NATO have opposed a no-fly zone, expressing concern that it would exacerbate conflict with nuclear-armed Russia. The White House has also yet supported a proposal to assist with the delivery of Russian-made MiG warplanes to Ukraine, despite bipartisan support of Congress. Zelensky called on Congress to recall the 1941 Japanese bombing of Hawaii's Pearl Harbor, the 2001 Al-Qaeda attacks on the U.S., and civil rights leader Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream address in Washington in 1963. I have a dream. These words are known to each of you today. I can say, I have a need. I need to protect our sky, Zelensky stated. After his remarks, Zelensky waved over the video feed and put his palm on his chest in thankfulness for the reception. On Tuesday, Biden signed a bill into law that will provide $13.6 billion in emergency aid to Ukraine to help it buy more weapons and humanitarian goods. A White House official said Biden was likely to offer $800 million in security assistance to Ukraine later on Tuesday. Again, this has been Bea Aspacio with the Daily Herald, bringing you the latest updates on Ukraine-Russia dispute. Back to you, Nicole and Lance.
Over 1,700 schools in Central Luzon have already prepared themselves to open limited face-to-face classes after being awarded a School Safety Assessment Tool Compliance Certificate (SSATCC) by DepEd Regional 3, with 1,764 schools being public schools and 7 being a private school. With Mindful of Truth, now stating Arisa Manuel.
More than 1,700 schools in Central Luzon are now ready to start offering limited face-to-face classes. This follows the awarding of the School Safety Assessment Tool Compliance Certificate or SSATCC by the Department of Education Regional Office 3 to 1,764 public and 7 private schools in the region as part of the execution of the gradual expansion of in-school programs. According to DepEd Regional Director May Eklar said in a statement on Monday that the SSATCC is an indicator that their schools are willing to adopt restricted face-to-face lessons while awaiting to the approval of the individual local chief executives and the improvement of health circumstances in the region. According to the interim guideline on the expansion of limited face-to-face classes in the original pilot schools, as well as the start of progressive expansion phase for both public and private schools, provided that the expansion schools have been validated as meeting the standards of the SSATCC. The SSATCC, which certifies that a school has met all 4 indicators, must be prominently displayed at all entrance points in accordance with the dimensions specified in Regional Memorandum Number 145 Series of 2022, or the implementation guidelines on the issuance of SSATCC for progressive expansion of limited face-to-face classes. The SSATCC is valid for 6 months from the date of issuance and is renewable subject to continued compliance with all eligibility requirements, which include the following conditions: schools that are in Alert Level 1 and 2 based on the Department of Health's periodic risk assessment, validation report of the division composite team, including compliance with the SSATCC, and endorsement from the school division superintendent to the director. If there is a clustering of COVID-19 cases recorded in the school, the SSATC may be withdrawn based on the legitimate allegation of deliberate violation of any of the basic public health criteria.
And while we're on the topic of schools initiating limited face-to-face classes, how is our situation regarding COVID cases today? Arisa?
The Department of Health revealed on Monday that the daily average of COVID-19 case count of 510 from March 14 to 20 was 13% lower than the number of new infections before the week under review. The DOH reported 3,572 new cases of COVID-19 in its most recent case bulletin. For the same time period, only 1 case was added to the tally of severe and critical infections, which fell to 805 from 1,006 the previous week. Only 17.8% or 619 of the country's 3,473 intensive care units or ICU beds are used, while 16.6% of the 4,532 non-ICU beds are occupied. Meanwhile, 655 confirmed deaths occurred in the previous week. Approximately 72.41% of the target population in the country has been immunized against COVID-19. According to the DOH, 75.31% of all the persons have been immunized against the illness. The adult population is 8,721,357 people, where areas the country's target population for immunization is 80% of the total population, which is 90%, 5,357 people. According to DOH data as of March 20, 65,171,415 persons are completely immunized, while 11,530,728 have got booster injections. That's all for tonight's news. Again, this is Arisa Manuel and this is the Daily Herald News. Have a great day ahead and back to you, Nicole and Lance.
Bureau of Immigration operatives arrested a South Korean fugitive wanted for illegal gambling in his country. Gio Mungil, a 39-year-old Korean citizen, was apprehended last week at the Bonifacio Global City in Taguig. He is subjected of a red notice from Interpol in arrest warrant issued by Osan District in South Korea. With Mind Full of Truth, now stating Jana Martel.
Good evening and hello world. The truth is our priority. We give justice to your curiosity. The latest news spotted only here on the Daily Herald News, giving you the latest and most credible crime and celebrity news for tonight. Manila, Philippines. Bureau of Immigration, BI agents have arrested a South Korean fugitive in Taguig City. Commissioner Jaime Morente announced Tuesday. Morente said Jeong Mungil, 39, was arrested by the BI's Fugitive Search Unit, FSU, on Thursday, March 24 in Bonifacio Global City, Taguig. Jeong's arrest was made through a mission order issued by Morente upon the request of South Korean authorities in Manila. BIFSU Chief Rendell C. said Jeong was subject of a red notice from Interpol and an arrest warrant issued by the Ulsan District Court in South Korea. Jeong has been charged with violating South Korea's National Sports Promotion Act. Following his arrest, Jeong was detained at the BI Warden facility in Camp Bagong Diwa, Taguig City, pending deportation proceedings. You have just heard the latest news here in the Daily Herald News. With no bias, news with no expectation, delivering nothing but the truth. Again, this is Jana Martel. Back to you, Nicole and Lance.
Now on to the traffic report. Joan Montoyo, could you please elaborate about today's traffic condition?
Good evening. Hello and welcome to the Daily Herald News. This is Joanne providing you the most latest and authentic news for today. Traffic report. Public buses delivery trucks will be allowed on Skyway again starting April 1, announced last March 21, 2022. Manila, Philippines public utility buses and closed-van delivery trucks may again be able to use the elevated Skyway systems starting April 1. This was announced Monday by SMC and SOMCO, which also reported the completion of major construction works on the highway. These vehicles were previously restricted from using the Skyway for safety reasons, as construction of the South Luzon Expressway elevated extension in Muntinlupa City required the use of a temporary steel access ramp at the Alabang Viaduct, which was only intended for light vehicles. SOMCO said buses can enter and pass through the Skyway elevated sections spanning Alabang to Bicutan Stage 2, Bicutan to Buendia Stage 1, and Buendia to Balintawak Stage 3, starting April 1, as they can also soon access the new SLEX elevated extension and NAIA Expressway. Strict rules, however, will be imposed to maintain smooth traffic flow and ensure the safety of all Skyway motorists, and further said that in preparation for the Skyway's reopening to public buses, substantial planning is underway to ensure the readiness of Skyway plazas, toll booths, patrols, and SOMCO staff. That's all for today's news. Again, this is Joanne Montoyo and this is the Daily News Herald. Have a great day ahead. Back to you, Nicole and Lance.
The PDP Laban Party list top official has endorsed Vice President Lenny Robredo's presidential candidacy based on President Rodrigo Duterte's qualification as his successor. The PDP Laban Party List Vice President Ben Evardon has believed that President Rodrigo Duterte has the intention on endorsing Vice President Leni Robredo when stating the qualifications of compassionate and decisive lawyer. With Mind Full of Truth, now stating Bea Aspacio.
Good day to you, Nicole and Lance. I am Bea Aspacio with the Daily Herald. According to PDP Laban Vice President for the Visayas, Ben Evardone, who also serves as Eastern Samar Governor, he believes that Duterte virtually backed Robredo's presidential campaign when he declared that the next president should be a decisive and compassionate lawyer. In a one-on-one interview with spiritual advisor Apollo Quiboloy, Duterte stated that he hopes that the next president will be a compassionate leader who understands the concerns of every Filipino, is decisive, and is a good judge of character. For me and for millions of Filipinos, there is only one decisive and compassionate lawyer among those aspiring to be president, and she is VP Leni, Evardone said in a statement. She's the only one who can hurdle President Duterte's standards for his successor, he added. Evardone also stated that Robredo has been consistent with her pro-poor advocacies, which she said have reached Eastern Samar. We will need a president who is determined and forceful in addressing these issues, but at the same time, one who has compassion for all affected sectors, especially the poor. It's VP Leni who fits the bill, he added. Robredo accepted Evardone's vote of confidence. Mahalaga ito kasi coming from nothing, may naglalakas loob na ipahayag ang kanilang saloobin despite the fact na hindi tayo ang frontrunner, Robredo said. While Duterte and his PDP Laban allies led by Energy Secretary Alfonso Cusi have yet to support a presidential candidate. Malacanang also stated that Duterte will not support any presidential candidate unless there's a compelling reason for him to do so. Over the last 6 years, Duterte and Robredo have had a difficult working relationship. Robredo was appointed to Duterte's cabinet, but she was ousted twice. He also chastised Robredo in 2020 for purportedly questioning his whereabouts after Typhoon Ulysses' devastation. This is Bea Aspacio reporting live with the Daily Herald. Back to you, Nicole and Lance.
It is now time to check for the weather and technologies update for the last few days. Kevin Abgao joins us live from the Daily Herald Weather Center. For that, Kevin, what should our Heraldians expect?
Heraldians, I am here to tell you right now to bring umbrellas when you are traveling the country, as easterlies are still the prevailing weather system. Expect to experience cloudy to relatively cloudy conditions as well as isolated showers and thunderstorms every afternoon and evening. For the next 3 to 5 days as of now, there has not been an observed movement in low pressure areas that can affect our country. For now, expect warm, hot, and isolated showers coming throughout the day. 24 hours in all of Luzon, moderately cloudy are the conditions, and isolated showers and thunderstorms. Extreme northern Luzon, those of Batanes and Babuyan Islands will experience shady weather with moderate showers. Moving in closer to Luzon, we have Lawag, 23 degrees Celsius, Baguio, 15 degrees Celsius, Metro Manila, 26 degrees Celsius, Tagaytay, 22 degrees Celsius. Tuguegarao, we have 22 degrees Celsius, Legazpi, 27 degrees Celsius, here in Puerto Princesa, we have 26 degrees Celsius, and Kalayaan Islands, which has 26 degrees Celsius. So fair weather is experienced in Visayas and Mindanao. Good weather. So in Tacloban, we have 26 degrees Celsius, Iloilo, 26 degrees Celsius, as well as Cebu, Cagayan de Oro, we have 25 degrees Celsius, Zamboanga, 26, Davao, 26. And that is it for our Daily Herald Weather Report. In other news, have you heard about a recent discovery on a possible treatment for poor or memory loss? Researchers have shown that memory loss can be diverted by the use of oxygen. Yes, you heard that right, the one that we breathe every day. By exposing the patients to 100% of high pressurized oxygen, they have significantly boosted their cognitive abilities. People with constant symptoms after mild head trauma who were treated with hyperbaric oxygen treatment scored significantly higher on memory tests than those untreated individuals. Comparatively, it can also help improve short-term memory in people with stroke and Alzheimer's disease. This works by dampening the inflammation in the brain. However, the jury is yet to determine whether this method has a long-term effect on the memory. Moving over to technology, our country will be sending satellites into outer space. Manila, Philippines, the University of Perpetual Help System Delta, or UPHSD Las Piñas, has signed a partnership with two universities in Malaysia and Thailand to launch a nanosatellite by 2023, with the goal of collecting data on marine traffic and greenhouse gases. As part of ASEAN SAT-1 nanosatellite project, the UPHSD collaborated with University Technology MARA or UITM in Shah Alam, Malaysia, and King Mokto's or Mongkut's University of Technology North Bangkok or excuse me po, KMUTNB in Thailand. UPHSD President Anthony Tamayo said in his remarks that the project is a milestone for both the university and for the development of science and technology in the country and in the ASEAN region. The ASEAN, or Association of Southeast Asian Nations, is a political and economic union of 10 Southeast Asian countries, one of which including the Philippines. Heraldians, why are satellites important for our daily life? Well, satellites are responsible for bringing space technology for our daily use of satellite TVs, GPS systems, smartphones, instruments, and equipment used by military, air traffic, and determining the weather. And that's it for today. My name is John Kevin Abgao, bringing you the latest, hottest news here in Herald Daily. Back to you, Nicole and Lota.
You have just heard the latest news around the globe. Again, this is the Daily Herald, news without bias and exception on delivering nothing but the truth.
This has been your anchor, Nicole C.
And Lance Lota, bringing you the eye on the latest and most credible news around the globe.
One quest, one principle, one truth.